This is the Cats Elopement. Elopement means to run away with the person that you love. So once upon a time, there lived a cat of marvellous beauty, with skin as soft and shining as silk, and wise green eyes that could even see in the dark. His name was Gon, and he belonged to a music teacher who was so fond and proud of him that he would not have parted with him for anything in the world. Now, not far away from the music master's house, there dwelled a lady who possessed a most lovely cat called Koma. She was such a little dear altogether, who blinked her eyes so daintily and ate her supper so tidily, and when she finished, she licked her pink nose so delicately with her little tongue that her mistress was never tired of saying, "Koma, Koma, what should I do without you?" Well, it happened one day that these two went out for an evening stroll, met under a cherry tree, and one moment fell madly in love with each other. Gon had long felt that it was time for him to find a wife, and for all of the ladies in the neighbourhood had paid him so much attention that he'd become quite shy. But he was not so easy to please and did not care about any of them. Now, before he had time to think, Cupid had entangled him in his net, and he was filled with love for Koma. She fully returned his passion, but like a woman, she saw the difficulties in its way and consulted sadly with Gon as to the means of overcoming them. Gon entreated his master to set matters right by buying Koma, but her mistress would not part from her. Then the music master was asked to sell Gon to the lady, but he declined to listen to any such suggestions, so everything remained as before. At length, the love of the couple grew such a pitch that they were determined to please themselves and seek their fortunes out together. So, under one moonlit night, they stole away and ventured into an unknown world. All day long, they marched bravely on throughout the sunshine until they'd left their homes far behind them. Towards evening, they found themselves in a large park. The wanderers at this time were very hot and tired, and the grass looked soft and inviting. The trees cast cool, deep shadows, when suddenly an ogre appeared in this paradise in the shape of a big, big dog. He came springing towards them, showing all of his teeth. Koma shrieked and ran up a cherry tree. Gon, however, stood his ground boldly and prepared to give battle, for he felt Koma's eyes were upon him and that he must not run away. Alas! His courage would have availed him nothing. His enemies once had touched him, for he was large and powerful and very fierce. From her perch in the tree, Koma saw it all and screamed with all her might, hoping that somebody would hear and come to help. Luckily, a servant of the princess to whom the park belonged was walking by. He drove off the dog and picked up the trembling Gon in his arms and carried him to his mistress. So, poor little Koma was left alone, while Gon was borne away, full of trouble, and not in the least knowing what to do. Even the attention paid him by the princess, who was delighted by his beauty and pretty ways, did not console him. There was no use in fighting against fate. He could only wait and see what would turn up. The princess, Gon's new mistress, was so good and kind that everyone loved her, and she would have lived a happy life had it not been for a serpent who'd fallen in love with her and was constantly annoying her by his presence. Her servants had orders to drive him away as often as he appeared, but as they were careless, and the serpent very sly, it sometimes happened that he was able to slip past them and frightened the princess by appealing before her. One day, she was settled in her room, playing on her favourite musical instrument, when she felt something gliding up her sash and saw her enemy making his way up to kiss her cheek. She shrieked and threw herself backwards, and Gon, who had been curled up in a stool at her feet, understood her terror and with one bound seized the snake by his neck. He gave one bite and one shake and flung him on the ground, where he lay, never to worry the princess once more. Then the princess took Gon in her arms and praised and caressed him. She saw that he had the nicest bits to eat and the softest mats to lie on, and he would have nothing in the world to wish for if he could have seen Koma again. As time passed on, one morning Gon lay in the house door, basking in the sun. He looked lazily at the world stretched out before him, and saw in the distance one big ruffian of a cat teasing an ill-treated, quiet little one. He jumped up, full of rage, and chased away the big cat, and then he turned to comfort the little one, when his heart nearly burst to joy finding out that it was Coma. At first, Coma did not know him again. He'd grown so large and stately. But when it dawned upon her who it was, her happiness knew no bounds. They rubbed their heads and nose together again and again, while their purring might have been heard a mile off. Poor and poor, they appeared before the princess and told her the story of their life and its sorrows. The princess wept for sympathy and promised that they should never more be parted, but should live with her to the end of their days. By and by, the princess herself got married and brought a prince to dwell in the place in the park. She told him about her 2 cats, and how brave Gon had been, and how he had delivered her from her enemy and the serpent. When the prince heard this, he swore they should never leave them, but should go with the princess wherever she went. So it all fell out as the princess wished, and Gon and Coma had many children, and so did the princess. They all played together and were friends till the end of their lives. The end. There we go. That is your bedtime story for today. I hope you guys didn't feel too tired. What? No, the student and the teacher. No. It's about the cats. It's about the cats. Maybe you should read The Owl and the Cat. Owl and the Cat? It's a cute story though. And while I was reading that, I drink owl blood. Thanks very much for the follow. I love your username. Love from King to all streamers. Thanks for entertaining us. That is all good. I thank you anyways, King, and thanks for coming by.